This week on the Baseline Podcast, Josh and I are here to talk about the record that was broken. Yes, Alex Ovechkin breaks the all-time goal record set by Wayne Gretzky years ago, and we talk about what does this mean? Is there any more records he can break? Who's the next one that could possibly break this record? And then we also talk about Major League Baseball. What are the Reds doing? What are the Guardians doing? And is there anything shocking still happening in the game of baseball? All that and so much more coming up on the Baseline Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Baseline Podcast. I'm Ben, that's Josh, and we are here alive in April. Josh, it is April already. Can you believe it's April? Like I feel like just yesterday we started this new year, and it's like a quarter of the way through already.
Yeah, well, a third of the way through technically, since
that's what I
we're
meant, yeah,
3 months of the way in. But either way, yeah,
It's wild.
we did
dude.
we got some cold weather yesterday, so it doesn't
Yeah,
feel
we did
like
too.
April
Yeah, we got
necessarily.
cold. Yeah, we got some cold weather.
Yeah, and they're always flirting with snow in the weather reports and stuff.
Well,
I
they
haven't
got
seen
to,
any snow in April
It's
yet,
got to be
but
Ohio, you got to have a little
it's
flirtation
happened
with it.
before. I've had snow on my
That is
birthday.
true. I've had snow playing baseball games, which is awful, by the way. You can't see the ball. But I did want to, Josh, but I know we have a lot to talk about today. Nothing like crazy, but a lot of things happened. I did want to bring up, I know, Josh, this is close to us, close to our hearts, because the man who believed in us all those years ago to do a sports talk show on a college campus where they had no real sports talk show, I think for like 15 years before that. It was like they basically never had a sports talk show. And they asked the two of us plus Jamie to come on and do a sports talk show. And that would be Mr. L. He's retiring after, I believe, 43 years, I believe, or something like that. Something wild like that. I don't actually remember the number. Mr. L, I apologize. Yeah, I just, my heart goes out for that because I think that's what got both of us connected and plus got us into loving this kind of atmosphere. So yeah, we love you, Mr. L. Anything you would like to add to that, Josh?
No, you pretty much nailed it. Yeah, for everybody that doesn't know who that is, yeah, Mr. L was one of the broadcast professors at Cedarville.
Yeah.
Also was the main advisor to Resound Radio, the student radio station over there. So definitely was involved in a lot of that. Taught a few of the classes that I had being in the communications department. So yeah, to be
He's a
there
great
as
guy.
long as
Great
he
guy.
was, yeah, good dude, fun
Right.
dude
Oh.
too to talk to. And yeah, it's always amazing to me that someone can serve that long at the same school.
Yeah,
But
and I think it's wild too. Like you think about like our show, Josh. I don't know if you remember like our first few episodes. It was like he was always like giving us ideas. Like he wasn't in every production. Obviously, he was never always there for the radio because we always recorded on a Sunday, so he was never really there. But like anytime we'd meet with him, he had ideas. Like I think we changed the name like 3 times because he just wanted something that clicked. I just I look back at that and I go like, man, he believed in two doofuses from Ohio and two rivals in the sense she was from my rival high school, and then obviously and then just like all 3 different personalities. And I think it was just it was a great time, and I look back at that and it's just like it's thankful to him, and what he was able to do and believe that we could do a sports talk show for a Christian school on a Resound Radio talking about mainly Cedarville sports, and a lot of that stuff we kind of had to figure out along the way. But I miss the time occasionally for sure.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah, nothing else to really add. I think you nailed it.
I do miss those interviews, by the way. Josh would nail those interviews. I don't know if you've ever guys listened, but Josh would nail those interviews. He had like the whole professional atmosphere with those interviews with our different people we had on. But pretty awesome. But you know what's also awesome, Josh, is how bad our brackets were this year. And so we won't go into detail because they were trash. They were totally trash. So, anyways, Josh, let's talk about the Final Four that happened in the national championship. Give me your thoughts on what happened this weekend.
Yeah, I think the theme of the weekend is comeback,
Yeah,
right?
you could say that.
Because Florida had to come back from pretty big deficit against Auburn, and then the biggest one that everybody's been talking about was the one that Houston had to overcome against
Dude, that was
Duke.
unreal, man.
Duke was
Duke
up, I
choked,
think,
man.
6 or 7 with
Choked.
33 seconds left, but then they also only made one field goal in the last 10 minutes. Like
Dude,
Duke looked like a well-oiled machine. I was talking to my buddy Justice while we're watching that. I was like, I think Duke's going to win it all.
Yeah,
And
I
then
mean
they didn't even get past that
the
game.
thing is, if they win that game, they will win it all. Like I don't think Florida
I
beats
thought
them.
they would, but the other thing is Florida has been coming back all
Yeah,
tournament long.
it's true.
They had to come back from, I think they're the first team to come back in the Elite Eight, the Final Four, and the national championship while being down at least 9 points. And that also isn't including coming back from, I think it was double digits against UConn
Yeah,
at one point in that second round matchup. So
yeah.
yeah, it was some performance there by Florida also,
Houston
but
also
yeah.
just the terrible last second possession by Houston. I don't know what they were doing there. I don't know. Like, dude, what are you doing? Pump faking and then trying to like what? Like that whole last possession by Houston just confused me as a
There
basketball
were
player.
three possessions near the end of the game that they had that they did not get a shot off. And what that one reminded me of was if you saw the end of the Auburn game, Chad Baker and Mazzara had a same situation where he pump faked a three, but he left the ground when he did it.
Yeah,
And then when he landed, shot the three and made it. And it obviously didn't count because it was a travel violation there. And I think that guy just was thinking the same thing. He saw Walter Clayton Jr. come in with that closeout and he was like, oh no, I'm going to get blocked. And then he
you just gotta
just
get that up, man. You
was
just
like,
get that ball up.
you got to do something, yeah. Like throwing it on the ground. Like I get you're trying to avoid like the deflected shot, but and the travel, I guess, in the process. But
But also, why are
that's
you running? Why are you running to play with like five dudes in the same area, like four dudes in the same area? Like I don't get why we're having this compact. Like as a guy who played basketball, like dude, the best shot I had, if I had a guy run at me, was when it was 1-on-1. Like I don't understand why we're doing all these screens and picks, and it's like, dude, just spread it out, give it to your best guy, and say, go win us the game. Do the Kyrie, like that's what that should have been like.
yeah. Speaking of Walter Clayton too, he was held scoreless, I think, the first 25 minutes of that game, but you obviously saw him involved in other ways.
Yeah,
You think he finished 3 for 10 shooting, so that tells you he wasn't really forcing shots either. He was just being patient, but he also didn't lose his confidence, but also was just contributing in other ways. Um, just the guy that's been basically coming up with all the big shots and the big, I guess, moments. Had a few in this one too, although they weren't really necessarily all offensive this time.
yeah. And look, I look at this. Congrats to Florida, right? Like they're the first team ever to win three Division I basketball and football titles, which is wild to me. But it makes sense. I mean, they won those back to back, obviously in basketball back in the against Ohio State one time. Um, can we also talk about the fact that next year they're gonna have a 7'9" guy off the bench?
Hmm.
Dude, this team is gonna be pretty good next year. They have a young head coach. I feel bad for Kelvin Sampson. Like that dude has been like through the ringer like his whole career. Like had some rough times. It felt like he always had a job that was good. It just and for Houston, dude, I don't know if you saw that I shared. It was like they've never won it. They've been there three times. They've the one
Hmm.
time back to back in the '80s. They've been to the Final Four a bunch. They've been to the Elite Eight. It's just like they cannot get over that hump, and it's almost like was this their chance? Was this their one shot to kind of get over the top? And it's
Yeah.
just a fascinating time, I think.
Also was fascinated by some of the notes on roster construction in this. There were no five-star recruits
Yeah,
on either team.
yeah. Which is it
And I,
shows recruiting matters.
well, it shows recruiting matters in the sense that it's like you got to find those diamonds in the rough,
Yeah,
like your 3-star, your lower 4-star, but also do well in the transfer portal. Like I already mentioned that Walter Clayton came from Iona. Like to be able to go and
yeah,
find somebody like that and put that on your team. And then, yeah, Golden, Florida's coach, young, 39 years old, got hired 3 years ago for just being the head coach over at San Francisco in the West Coast
yeah.
Conference. I think had a 23-22 conference record over there. Nothing too flashy, but for whatever reason, uh, AD had some faith in him. Got a really good recommendation from Bruce Pearl, who was coaching Auburn at the time and had Golden on his staff. Comes over, finishes 500 that first year. I think they go 24-12 the next year, and then this year they're hoisting up the trophy, cutting down the nets at the end. And a lot of people enjoyed it, Ben. Even though there weren't a whole lot of upsets, this was the highest viewed Final Four since 2017, highest viewed national championship since 2017.
That's when you have two good teams, right? And you don't have one of the like when you have 9 versus 11. No offense, it's a great story, but the only time that ever works with a higher seed is when it's like 1 or 2 versus 8. Like that's when I think you see it matter. I think, or when you see that happen. But when it's like these low seeds, I don't think anybody really enjoys it necessarily.
Hmm.
Well, that's just my thoughts, to be honest with you. But Ohio State still sucks, and they lost like half their team. So next year is just gonna be glorious for them. But hey, North Carolina didn't. Hey, they made it farther than Ohio State, so I'll give them credit. They did make it farther.
Yeah,
Not much farther, but farther.
right. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else here that was like fascinating, interesting. Just I guess we can finish it with
The
just
tournament was
overall.
really boring though. Like I just felt like it
I
was
was
a
just gonna say
boring
like overall
tournament.
thoughts on the whole
Just
thing. Like
just
people thought it
boring.
was boring,
It
but
just was boring. Because there was nothing like exciting, and maybe it's also because like college basketball this year kind of felt that way the whole year. Um, but yeah, it just felt boring to me. That's the word I would put, boring for me. What about you?
maybe the first couple days, since those are usually when your biggest upsets are
Hmm.
happening, but things start to, settle down a little bit after the Sweet
Hmm.
16. You might only have one lower level team get to the Elite Eight, almost never the Final Four, but
Yeah.
the final weekend with all four number ones, it obviously lived up to the hype. We had
Oh yeah.
possibly the best Final Four weekend I've
That we've
seen.
had a long.
I'd
Since
have
probably
to,
since the last four ones were there in the '08 or whatever it was.
yeah, those are good games too. But I mean, even just like the way the games were played, like they were all competitive. Like I said, there were comebacks down to the wire, and almost all of
Yeah.
these, like they were very fun games, very good games between the best teams in the country. Like that's what more could you ask for?
Oh, that's the best part.
Yeah. Um, Speaking of big moments too, we
Yeah.
finally got that big milestone checked off for Alex Ovechkin in
Yeah,
the
that's
last few
awesome,
days
man. It's
too.
awesome. It's so cool.
Beating beating Wayne
In the
Gretzky's
same
goals record. And
games, which is
that's the other thing that's
wild.
crazy. I think it was 1,487 games that
Both of them. Yeah.
Gretzky got the uh his 894, I think, and then Ovechkin got the 895.
In the same amount of games, which is just
Yeah.
like that's wild. And I think I saw that like Austin Matthews, he's actually on pace to beat both of those by a little bit, I believe. So I thought that was very fascinating. So maybe there's gonna be another one in 10 years.
As
But
long as he can play
the thing is,
1,487
Ovechkin
games, I
looks
guess.
good. Like he could play for another year, 2 years. Like he doesn't look slow. Like I was watching
No,
highlights, he doesn't look
he's still
slow.
looked to as a leader and a solid contributor on that team. Like he's not just there basically just to set this record and retire. Like he's still a really solid
I
player.
think you'll see him for at least another 2 years at least. But thoughts on it? Like how do you feel about it? Thoughts on it?
It's one of those records, like I've said before, that you look at in the most unbreakable records, and you're like, this is something that'll never get
Oh
touched.
yeah.
And now that he's touched it, it's like, shoot, man, I don't know what else. I mean, depending on how much longer he plays,
Is he the greatest of all
it
time?
could
That's
be
my question. Is he the greatest of all time?
the greatest of all time. I mean, Gretzky's still got that points record. I think he's got the assist record. Like, there's still a lot of things that he's done, but I
He's
mean,
definitely in the top five, I think, of all time.
he'll be top five. Yeah, you got to have him and like
Gordie
Lemieux and
Howe.
Howe and
Yeah.
yeah, and I think you can definitely throw Ovechkin on like your Mount Rushmore of
And the thing
NHL.
that like I always thought Sidney Crosby had a lot of numbers, but you look at his numbers and they're not as impressive as I think many people feel like they are. Because I looked and he's not even in the top, I think 6 or 7 in goals, which I was kind of shocked by. But I realized like he's a different kind of style than what Ovechkin was. Ovechkin's like, just give me the puck, I'm going to score. That's kind of the way he plays. Where Sidney Crosby's
Hmm.
kind of like, hey, we're gonna try to play this a little bit through me a little bit, which I think is different, I guess. I mean, look at me. I talk amazing hockey talk. What can I say? I'm an analyst. But on the news, I think that's kind of like we wanted to just touch on this for everyone. I would love to see the Blue Jackets finally get a guy that's like that, but we'll just trade them away. That's usually what happens with the Blue Jackets. They're actually not going to make the playoffs. I saw, which shocker. Um, no, but I think this kid is a great transition. We're talking about professional sports, and we've talked about obviously college basketball. We're going to talk about baseball, but something interesting has happened, Josh, and that is in the NBA. Right? We're talking about. Hey, first off, let's just say congrats to Cleveland Cavaliers. We got number one seed in the East.
Got that one
That
seed
means
locked.
nothing right now. That means nothing, to be honest. They're gonna. I think they at least can tie the record for the best record in Cavs history. But I will say the Thunder are scary. But before we get to the Thunder, I do want to talk about the Nuggets because Josh, as we know, this happened. I think yesterday it was as we're recording this. The thought for me is very interesting because the Nuggets. Um, you would think they're fourth in the West, right? They're, I think,
Hmm.
4 games back, 8 games back, no, 12 games back of the first place, and I think they're a half game up within the play-in round. And they decide to fire their head coach and going to let their GM go with 4 games left to go. I just want to get your initial thoughts on that because it's a very fascinating concept to me.
It is, especially this close, dude.
And your winningest coach, by the way, of all time of your franchise, and won a
Yeah,
title 2 years ago.
yeah, and I think that they fired the GM too,
Hmm.
if I remember right,
Hmm.
Booth. But
Yeah,
yeah, right before a playoff run, I don't know.
it's got to be something else,
It's one of
man.
those. It is something else, man. Because if you're doing that, you're saying that either we aren't going to do anything this postseason anyways, so
Yeah,
it doesn't matter who's coaching, or we can just, this season's a wash. Like we're gonna go out the first round. We might as well get this guy out of the building while we can. Or they really think that what's been holding them back from, I guess, being better is the coach. And it's just crazy to disrupt it this close to, like you were saying, the postseason. But
no,
I don't know, man.
but
It's
also
something that you don't usually see.
no. What's also interesting though, and I think it's fascinating is like I've also heard from like analysis or like people I guess that are around or friends with players or something like that. They said their view is that they feel like he lost the locker room. But my question is then, how do you lose the locker room after being there since 2015? Now, I do know he had comments, I think, about a month ago where he said something like his players don't watch film, and he like called them out. So I don't know if that started like a downward, like, really, you're going to do that in front of the media? But it is a fascinating time. And again, the Jazz did this like a week ago. They fired their longtime head coach, and it's just funny because you know you look at Popovich, and that man has just had a stroke or a heart attack, I believe, and he's still around. So it's very interesting how different teams handle things. Um, but also you look at the Cavs and you look at first year head coach and that's impressive. And so your thoughts on the Cavs and does this mean you're going to watch the postseason in the NBA?
I think it will mean that I'll be watching at least the Cavs. I've enjoyed my days off of work watching the MLB TV. Went ahead and got that, and it's been fun watching multiple teams besides just my
Yeah.
Cleveland Indians. But yeah, I've said that if the Cavs end up being good, and I've watched a little bit of them in the regular season. I still haven't followed the whole regular season NBA to really know like what the league is looking like, but at least these first few playoff series, I'll definitely be tuning in. I'll watch some of the games when I get the opportunity.
You know when that was the last time they were the number one seed in the East? Do you know when that was?
They really weren't even number one that many times when they were making those runs with Golden State. So was it LeBron's first stint, 2000 like
No.
10?
The last time they were number one overall seed in the East was when they won the title. That was the
Okay, so
last time.
2016 they were the one
So
seed.
so that means I'm just saying if we're going by history here, what that
Okay.
means is they're winning it all. I'm just saying it now. Now the Celtics are in their way, and you have the Thunder on the other side. You have the Lakers who you can't count out. Even the Nuggets through everything are going on. But it's gonna be interesting playoffs. We have 4 games left. We'll obviously preview the playoffs as the playoffs arise. So get ready for that in the future. But I do know that we wanted to kind of finish up the episode. Again, this could be a kind of a shorter episode. There's
A
not
little
really
short, yeah. I
that
actually
was
got something that I wanted to talk with you,
yeah.
Ben, before we
Yes.
move on.
Let's do it.
It's related to the NHL and the NBA
Oh,
discussion.
okay.
Ovechkin sets the record.
Hmm.
Wayne Gretzky's there,
Hmm.
and he's been saying in the media that whoever's record he broke for the goals, that he was there for him when he set it, and then he said whoever beats his record, he'll be there for them when
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
set
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Like there just seems like a lot of really good passing of the torch culture and
Yeah.
respect for records that get broken over there. But the NBA doesn't seem like that way, and I mean, the NBA's done some things to earned the criticism that it has, but the media also seems to really hate the league. The former players that you see in the media seem to really hate the league. The way that people talk about like Nikola Jokic today, like
I'm sorry,
Jokic,
the man is the best player in the basketball. He's the
we're
best player
talking
in
about
basketball.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander winning MVP when no player has ever been top 10 in points, rebounds, assists, and steals, and Jokic is top three in all of those right now.
And let's call it a spade a spade. They want to do that because they don't want to give a guy, especially a white guy, three of them in a row. They just
It
don't. They just
it's
don't.
got there's something going on there. He's first in double doubles this year, first in triple doubles. He's got more points, rebounds, assists, and steals per game than his last MVP season. He put up the first 30-20-20 game. He put up a 60-point triple double, most points in a triple double this season, and is the first non-point guard to average a triple double. I think it's a if it's not already a solid known fact or argument or thing that's accepted, Jokic has to be the best player in the league right now. And I think you're right. A lot of people don't like the fact that it's a white guy from,
Serbia,
Europe
who
that's
hates fame. He hates fame. He wants none of the
yeah.
limelight.
Yeah, like there's just the NBA doesn't seem to do well generation to generation. There's like a lot of stuck upness, a lot of they would never would do well in my generation. Like you didn't see Wayne Gretzky come out here and saying Ovechkin had it
No.
easier, harder, or anything
You
like
never
that.
even
Like
seen
he
you've never seen like
celebrated with him.
Hank Aaron never said, "Oh, Barry Bonds couldn't survive in my league." Like they congratulate each other. They hugged each other. Like look, and I agree with you what you said on this. Look, there are two sports leagues right now in America that do terrible job at passing the torch. That is for sure NBA. Like, look at even LeBron. Like, did you see Michael Jordan show up to his game or any of these other all Hall of Famers? Like, it was just a bunch of celebrities, right? Like, I think
Hmm.
what you see in baseball, you see dudes like I remember in the Reds game there, I believe it was like the hits record or something, or there was something that was happening, and Johnny Bench was there. Like he flew there to say, I want to be there to support a part of the team that I was around. Right? You look at the NHL. The NHL supports themselves so much. Past, present, future. It's awesome. You look at the NFL is like the other one that I go, eh. There are times where I'm like, you did great. Other times, like, you really just want to make this about you. So for me, there's only two sports that really do it well. Soccer does it pretty well as well, but and golf. But I think it's interesting to me though is that you look at this and you look at Nikola Jokic, and specifically on this. Like, I'm sorry, NBA fans. I know you're listening to this and you're probably going to get offended, but the three best players in the NBA right now were not born in the United States. Those three players are Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, oh, Slovenia, and oh, I don't know, Gilgis Alexander. You know where he was born? Canada. So none of the three best players in the NBA right now were born in America. It's a global game. It's happening, whether you like it or not. And the fact is, yes, he's 7 foot tall. He's from Serbia. He likes horses. He likes farms. He hates interviews. He hates doing all the stuff that makes him famous. But hey, here's the reality. He's the best player in the world. And yes, he's 7 foot tall. He's white. He's from Serbia. And again, I'm not out here. It's a ledge. I'm just saying it could happen. It could be because of the fact that he's white. I don't know that for a fact, but it's very weird because if this was, let's say, LeBron James and having these numbers, he would have been the MVP the last 3 seasons. There wouldn't even be an argument. So this is just from my point of view. I feel like they're too offended that the best players aren't from America. Like they're just offended by it and they don't like it.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to as well. There's very I don't know what the right word is. I don't know if it's jealousy, I don't know if it's jaded, but there's just era to era, there's just not a whole lot of a love for the other one. Like
No.
and there's a little bit of pride in that. Like you want to believe that you played in the best era and that the thing is some of these other leagues, like nobody really talks about Jim Brown playing in the era that he did and like that hurting his legacy. Some people think Jim Brown is the greatest football player ever, and he
Yeah.
played when our dads were kids.
Yeah.
Some people, when you look at it, hear some people talking the NBA, depending on who it is, some people won't even include anybody in the 60s or the 70s in their greatest of all times list because
I'm
it was a much more watered down league, granted, but
averaging
the older
50 and
players will act
40.
like that era was like something else. Yeah.
But think about it. You're averaging 50. I don't care what era you're in. 50 points and 40 rebounds. That is nuts. Like that is
Yeah.
just that is wild. And that's without a 3-point line, by the way. Just want to point that out as well. That's what doing without a 3-point line. But yeah, look. At the end of the day, I love what you said here because I think it's a very valid point that I think as a media, like obviously we're media, but also like the mainstream media just needs to stop doing this like attacks on like current versus old. Like it's just really frustrating, because it's like you want to enjoy these legends that we have right now. Like that's one of the things that I think is crazy is like we are watching legends take place and yet they're fighting over, who's got legend status, who should be the MVP. It's like it should be promoting what's happening both in basketball, the NFL, baseball, all those things. But yeah, it's wild to me. Um, I don't know where to go from there other than that. Let's just get it right. Let's get the MVP right in the NBA, and then maybe I'll give you a little
Nikola
blush from you.
Jokic, if he's not the MVP, this is like worse than when people say that Kobe didn't win it over Steve Nash or when LeBron didn't win it over Derrick Rose. Like this is very obviously Nikola Jokic over Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Oh yeah, I mean
This shouldn't.
this would be
This would be a
like
joke.
yeah, like look, there's a case that maybe the next few years he could be the MVP. Like if
Hmm.
he's averaging a triple double, I'm
And this
sorry.
isn't like the Russell Westbrook triple doubles where
No.
the Thunder are just getting by, or you can clearly see that he's passing off easy points to try to get assists, or he's fighting his own teammates for rebounds, those kind of things. Like these are just naturally coming to him through the game. His player efficiency
Yeah.
rating, I think, is has the Nuggets as one of the top five teams of all time while he's on the court. And when he's not on the court, they're one of the five like worst teams in the league right now. Like it's such a huge
Yeah.
difference in play, like just how valuable and important he is.
Yeah. It is true. And I think that's the fascinating part. Um, but yeah, so I think that's we'll end it there. I think that's a conversation we'll come back at the end of the year for sure. Well, now we're going to talk into some baseball because it is baseball season, Josh. Even though it feels weird outside and it doesn't feel like baseball. What's been happening with maybe with the Guardians? I know the Reds have been, but also just generally in baseball, we've had some interesting things happen.
Yeah, Cleveland finished their West Coast road trip with a series against the Angels, and I think the Angels actually got them 2-1 in that one. The only game that we won was that three home run game from Jose Ramirez, and even in that game, we only won by 2 runs, which is just making me not feel really good about where our current, roster situation is right now. But started the home series with the White Sox and needed a walk-off walk with the bases loaded to win that game 1-0. So it's just still not feeling very good about where we are at. There's some guys that are underperforming or just
Hmm.
not following up with the performances that they had last year. And right now, as it stands, we're in third place in that division at 4-6. We do have two teams now in that division over 500. Last time we talked, there weren't any, but that's as far as the Cleveland situation goes. I know over in Cincinnati there was a lot of frustration too. I
Oh
seen the
goodness
three
gracious!
straight 1-0 losses, and you see the
Yeah,
way that Hunter Green's pitching, like almost got
he's
a shutout the other
dominant, man.
day. That duel that he was having with Logan Webb was sick, but
And
almost got the complete game
Lodolo
shutout.
yesterday went 6 innings, no runs. They didn't give up any runs yesterday. Right now, currently as we're recording, they're up 6-1 on the Giants. They Verlander gave up 6 earned runs to the Reds today, 5 in 1 inning, and yeah, the Reds are playing well at times, but again, they scored 12 runs against the Rangers, then they get shut out, and then against the Giants, they can't really get the bats going, but the pitching's going. It's like what I'm worried is what happens to the Reds all the time, and it's we hit the ball for a period of time, and we're pitching somewhat good. Then we go through a great pitching stretch with no hitting, and then we're going to go through a great hitting stretch with no pitching. And it's like just for once, I just want everything to just seam together like a seam on a pant or a coat. But right now, De La Cruz, I mean, he's got 12 RBIs. He's only hitting like 240. He's only stolen one base, which is wild to me. Through 12 games, he got one stolen base. But Gavin Lux has not been a bad pickup, but a few guys like Spencer Steer is just he can't hit to save his life right now. Um, there's just a lot of guys struggling pitching wise though. Like you said, dude, Hunter Green, by the way, dude, that's the Hunter Green that we paid way undervalued. By the
That's the
way,
Hunter Green that you were like, you know what? We believe in him. We're going to give him a huge extension now so that we can save money down the road when
and
he
they
becomes
did
the
that.
superstar we think he can be. Yep.
And that's where, like, with De La Cruz, I know he's struggling, but it's like, dude, the talent is there. Sign him now.
Yep.
Get him to an 8-year deal. Maybe like pay him $100 million for 8 years. Overpay a little bit, and take what you can now while the iron's hot, right? So, but overall, like around baseball, like obviously the torpedo bats kind of slowed down. I think they're not as. I think it kind of proves that it's not everything about the bat. But Aaron Judge is still freaking raking, and Otani's still doing Otani things. And again, there's not anything crazy in baseball right now. But again, we're starting to see teams separate, except in the NL Central, where I think the last place and first place is separated by like 3 games.
Yeah.
So, which hopefully the Reds sweep the Giants today, and then the Reds are right back in the mix of it. Because we know in baseball, once you start getting a lead in baseball, it's really hard to kind of give up that standings unless teams go on runs. You kind of have to start off early and leading the division.
Yeah, I think so. One other thing that's interesting, we know that Rafael Devers was struggling that first week. I think he had like
Oh,
11
dude, he was
strikeouts
struggling,
and was
dude.
0 for 16 to start. Since then, though, he's gotten 11 hits since we've turned over to April, and now he's hitting 244. So the average is coming around. It just was a really bad stretch over there. Uh, that race in the NL West too is it's going to be
Yeah.
a fun one, I think. Arizona's 6-6 and they're in fourth, so that's kind of crazy.
You
But
know what's kind of
the
crazy too is
Dodgers
that
too,
the Giants, their only 3 losses, by the way, all to the Reds. Fun fact.
all to the Reds. Well, I was going to say too, the Dodgers, as deep as that pitching rotation is, they're already starting to see some guys go on a DL. We
Yeah,
just seen Blake Snell go, and I don't think we can finish the baseball talk without mentioning another big extension that happened, and that would be Vlad Guerrero Jr.
dude,
with the
14
third
years, dude.
largest contract in baseball history, 14 years, 500 million,
We didn't
none of
think it
it
was going to
deferred.
happen.
We didn't. We
No
thought
one
this was
thought
going to
this was
be
going
a
to happen.
we thought this was going to be an after the season thing. Like they failed to do it before the spring, and Vlad was just going to focus on playing this season, contract
It
year.
was too
Let me
heavy
get
on
as much
him.
money as I
Could have been
can,
too heavy
but
on him. He was just like, I just want to get this
could have
done.
been. And I think too, if you're like Toronto's perspective, this is like my whole thing from the beginning is like they've been in the running for a lot of guys. Like they were
Yeah.
apparently in the the Juan Soto sweepstakes. They're in the Shohei
Sasaki.
Ohtani sweepstakes. Sasaki, like they've been second place or third place in so many of these big free agent races that it's like, okay, well, what if you just spent all this money on literally your best player right now that's going to be a cornerstone of this franchise? And like just use him to attract maybe some of these like lower level guys. That way you don't have to just be a team of a bunch of like B and C level guys. Like you can have, maybe some of those A level guys come over because they want to
Yeah.
play with Vlad. Like you spent a lot of money on Santander this offseason. Like spend a lot of money on Vlad, your franchise piece.
Yeah.
And they got it done. I'm impressed that they got it done.
Yeah. It's worth it, man. Like, but that's what I'm worried about for the Reds. Is like I don't want to get to that point with Ellie. Like, just sign him
Yeah, you
now,
don't want
man.
to have to
Just
be
let's
paying
just
him
not
that kind of
wait
money.
that.
Right, right.
Like we've done that once with Joey Votto, and that was a mistake because we paid him too much too late, and it was already after an MVP season. You got to pay these guys, young guys, early, like we've said before, and get that money in because now it's a lot harder once they start dominating.
hmm
But yeah, I think that's everything in baseball, isn't it? I don't know if there's
Most of the
really
big
anything else.
stuff, yeah. I'm just running through to make sure that there wasn't anything else that has happened lately. Um, yeah, I think that's like the big stuff. Pretty much knocked out the big ones.
Yeah,
The Vlad extension was the big one, and then Hunter Green extension was
yeah.
something I want to talk about just because of the way he's
Well,
been playing and
yeah. Well, I will say that it's a shorter episode today, just more of a quick one today. But next week, oh boy, Josh, our
yeah.
final chance to get all of our picks correct because we know we're always correct. Sauce Gardner, still remember you, man. I'm going to live on that for years. But we'll see, and maybe put in the comments, maybe for today in the comments, put 2 things. One, do you think that the NBA NHL, do you think that comparison of like not really caring about veterans or about, who's truly the best player, like those kind of things, do you think it matters in the long run? And the second thing is, who's going to have more picks right in the 2025 NFL draft? Josh Burris or Ben Bowden? Now, we already know the answer.
And
So we already know the answer. It's
I think
obvious.
we do. But I'm going to throw a third one out there
Okay,
because
third one.
I know I get some hate from at least one buddy for not making any mention on the podcast so far about it. Who's going to win the Masters?
Oh, that's a good. That's a good. Oh, I'm gonna go with. Oh, I'm gonna go
I'm
with.
not going to throw any kind of in-depth analysis on
No,
golf
I'm gonna go.
because it would be
No, we
terrible
both. Yeah, we
and
both are terrible at that.
uneducated.
I'm gonna
So
go.
I'll just make a straight up pick
I'm gonna pick. Ooh,
out of my butt.
I'm gonna go Bryce. Whatever his
Bryson
last name
DeChambeau.
is. DeChambeau. I'm gonna go Bryson DeChambeau. Just because I watch his YouTube channel. That's the only reason. To be honest with you, I'm gonna go Bryson DeChambeau.
Yeah. I can remember talking. You remember the dudes from the Infield Singles podcast that was
Yeah.
going on when we were in school?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I went on there one day as a guest, and they asked me to predict Masters that year, whatever it was. It was like 21 or something like that. But it's like, you know what? Why can't it be Tiger Woods? And Tiger Woods won it. And that's the only time I've ever been right about picking a Masters winner. Uh, Scotty Scheffler, I'm sure, is like an easy one because of the 2 year run he's been
Yeah.
having, and golf has just been absolutely insane. I like DeChambeau. It's a little bit different. Also being a live guy, I'm sure that the golf purists won't really
They're gonna
like
love
that
that. Yeah, they're gonna hate that.
selection. Or if that is the result, I'm sure that they'll hate it. But I'm gonna pull one a little lower that maybe not a lot of people are talking about, kind of like how I was at Tiger Woods. Why can't it be? I sure hope he's playing Jordan Spieth.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that one.
We'll
I
say
like
Jordan
that.
Spieth comes out and has a day
So
because
yeah,
the greatest golfers all seem to win the Masters at some point, but
yeah,
it's
true.
never like the guy that you'd expect, it seems like, on any given year.
No.
Like the guy that's
Um,
coming in that's like the heavy betting favorite. I don't know.
should go
To me,
VJ
it seems
Singh.
like
No, I'm just kidding.
there's definitely been some guys that have won it that have been like, I don't even know who that is. And I mean, I'm not like a
Yeah.
huge golf fan anyways, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to know all the guys that win it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'll
No,
go
I
with
see what you
Spieth.
Oh, I like it. I like it. Anyways, yeah, so leave those three things down in the comments. That'd be really appreciative. And again, if you've loved this episode of the podcast on YouTube, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and let us know, hey, we like what you do. We also like your annoying voices. That's fine too. I get it. We did radio, man. We had the faces for radio. Like we literally left that because we had the faces for it. Okay. Everyone could see our face and they loved our faces on the radio. If you don't get that joke, I'm sorry. And then also, if you love listening to us on Spotify or Apple Apple Podcasts, then go ahead and leave us a rating. Let us know what you think. But again, if you didn't get the joke, I'm sorry. It's just you can't. You have to understand the joke. But hopefully next week will be fun with the whole mock draft. We'll obviously have other things we're going to talk about as well. And obviously there's going to be some other events coming up with the playoffs of different things, baseball, keep going. And right now, as I'm looking, Red's about below this game. So great. Anyways, I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. And until next time, we'll see ya.